Well, the part that we need to also remember when we're being authentic is that as unique human beings, we are different to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've all got a unique fingerprint. Though there are some similarities.
Hello world, it's Mick with the brand McClendon, back for what I expect to be yet another epic episode of our Hero Talk conversations. So just to give you guys a quick reminder of what our Hero Talks are about. I mean, here our goal is that we want to inspire you basically to be a hero. We believe that the highest and best version of ourselves is when we're looking outside of ourselves, looking at, causes that are bigger than us, and, we make them ours. So our goal is we want to inspire we want to, kind of shine the light on everyday real people and the causes that fuel them, and just shine a little light. And the goal is that if we can do that, if we can shine more light on these individuals, then we can inspire you to be a hero yourself. So I'm excited today because this is an interview that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. We're blessed to have our guest hero today, Dr. Pauline Crawford. Dr. Pauline Crawford, she is the CEO of Corporate Heart International. How are we doing today, Doc?
I'm doing fantastically. I've been out on my early morning walk. I'm alive, I'm well, and I'm feeling magical.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Pauline is out in Las Vegas. I'm in Tampa, so it's 1 o'clock my time, Doc. It's 10 o'clock your time? Okay.
My time.
Okay. So it is definitely early for her, but I mean the great thing about this movement, Doc, is and you this is episode 4 for us, and the great thing is that every episode has kind of tied together, right? I mean, the last episode we spoke to educator Mr. Adrian Barnes, and his cause was awareness and inclusiveness in schools. Right. And it's kind of interesting that here in our next episode, we get an opportunity to speak with you. So before we talk about your cause, first and foremost, who is Dr. Pauline Crawford? I mean, for the casual listener, who is Dr. Pauline Crawford?
Well, you might have heard a different accent, even though I'm in Las Vegas.
Is that Philadelphia? Oh, I thought that was Philadelphia. That's not Philadelphia?
No, London, UK, London, England.
Okay.
One of the things that's interesting is that 8 years ago, I never imagined that I would end up living in America. But that's because I'm a bit of an adventurer. So I met my American husband in Europe, actually, and we got together, and now I'm in America via Malaysia. So I'm a bit of a wild adventurer.
Okay.
But in terms of my own background, I've had quite a few decades here. I'm a wild adventurer, so I started from London, but I'm now here in America. And I'm a behavioralist, I suppose you might say. I observe people, and I look at the dynamics that's occurring between men and women and the world of business. That's my passion and my experience. So my corporate career, my business career is about 30 years. Okay. And my lifespan is somewhat longer.
Okay. So I want to go back to that. So that, study of people, the relationship between, men and women, and this will, ultimately lead to your cause. But, where was that passion born from?
It was literally born with my own experiences. I always think that if you're going to be a hero, it comes from you.
Yes.
When I was a young girl, I was a tomboy, and I loved being out with my brothers and climbing trees. I wanted to sail the high cities, and I was really considering who I was as a woman. I was different to my sisters. Some of them were more princess-like, and I was more a tomboy. And I noticed the boys were different. So I just started observing that some people were more chatty, some people were less, some people were very gregarious, some people were quiet. And I think I just loved connecting. So it was observation, but also how did people connect and how could they help them connect?
Right.
So that's really where it all came from, through my own life. And then halfway through my life, I got into training and facilitation of corporate and business people.
Okay.
And I started putting it all into practice.
Okay. Oh yeah. So that's one of the things we say that most of our heroes, there are three commonalities that you typically find. One is, maybe there's something that they have to forgive or forget to move on. Two, because of personal experience, they find a relatable cause, that their personal experience allows them to speak to. And then third, through all of this, they discover exactly what their superpower is. What was it that allowed them to kind of get through whatever their challenge was, whatever their storm is, whatever the objection is. And this is the superpower that they try to teach to other people. So with that, I want to flow into your cause, because your relatable experience, of how you grew up and watching that interaction, it has given birth to your audacious cause, which is
my audacious cause as the ambassador of Magical Conversations is to actually create world harmony.
Yes.
Because my passion as a child, I was very fortunate. I was born into a very, very happy family. We had lots of family gatherings. There was always people around. I had two brothers and a sister. So I was very fortunate, and I had lots of friends. And I loved the fact that there was this harmony. There was always something to do, someone to talk to. And I observed when I was at school, there were some people who didn't have that background, and they didn't know how to talk to people. So I wanted to move towards world harmony through helping people have magical conversations.
Absolutely. And so tell us more about, because this is a program that, program may be the wrong word, but this is, a process that you've gone into boardrooms, corporations, nonprofits, and try to get people to engage in magical conversations. So tell us more about what are magical conversations?
Well, a magical conversation is a conversation in which we are truly authentic for a start, and there's no judgment. So that's the first step. And because I used to embrace everybody and connect people, I observed that some people made assumptions about others, and it blocked the flow. So magical conversation always the flow which you stand into, and you listen to, and you tune into the other people. So the basic rules are no judgment, no anger, and no coercion. And this is interesting when we live in a world which is sometimes very controlled by external things. We think our parents know what we should do and we rebel, or the teacher says you must do this, or the boss says, if you don't do that, you won't get your money. And we get controlled by external factors. Whereas in fact, if we flow from within to without and embrace everybody in our circle, what the magic is that we can listen and learn and contribute in a way that creates things that were previously unknown before that conversation started. And that's the magic.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talked quite a bit about, society as a whole does have the tendency to label. They label you based on appearance, based on ethnicity, based on religion. And, I think the biggest obstacle that most have to face is not accepting the label. But the thing is, you mentioned a word, authentic. If you're not in connection with your authentic self, go ahead.
The part that we need to also remember when we're being authentic is that as unique human beings, we are different to everybody else. I mean, we've all got a unique fingerprint. So there are some similarities in groups and diverse factions, but essentially, if we understand the differences between us and other people, we can cease to have difficulty. That's my mission. It's like a difficult person is not a difficult person, it's just a difficult situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love the the greatest thing about the magical conversations is, the no judgment, the no anger, the no coercion. I think we've used, similar tactics in some of the diversity, awareness, and inclusion conversations, and we've entitled them "No Eggshells." So let's just create an environment where there are no eggshells. So you don't have to feel uncomfortable about asking certain questions when it comes to diversity. But the key is making sure that those questions don't come from anger, they don't come from judgment, they don't come from you trying to push an agenda. They come from curiosity, they come from love. So it's I think in a lot of ways it's the same thing. So you've I want to take this a little bit further, because our past conversations, you've been very, 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 very vocal and a huge champion of taking these magical conversations and having them impact the inclusiveness of women in the boardroom.
Absolutely.
So
and this is really critical. And the article I sent you, which was men opening the doors for women on board, it's kind of a bit of a little dig at the fact that a lot of men say, I just don't know whether to open the door for a woman. I don't know whether she's going to say, don't do that because I'm equal, or they're going to be okay about it. Now, it's a bit of a parody that I think we've been so focused on equality, and we've got to get women in there, and we've got to be in there. We haven't understood the conversation that needs to happen in order to open up those doors willingly. Because, mandates and numbers, I think, is forcing a situation that isn't natural.
Right.
So I'm looking at what's the resistance, given all the evidence that men and women work really well together, we produce much more creativity and sustainable expansion of business. Why doesn't it happen?
Yeah.
What is the fear?
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question. So, you kind of talked about, kind of tapped on the benefits. So let's hit on the benefits and the obstacles. So the biggest benefits of this becoming not mandated, but something that happens just naturally. And then, in your experience, what have been the biggest obstacles, objections, challenges?
Well, the greatest benefit, and this is not only proven with statistics, that when women are on boards, there's more return on investment, there's more productivity, there's more creativity, more innovation. Those stats are out there. But the obstacles seem to be the resistance of men to really step into that space, because I think sometimes they see women as becoming too, dare I say, aggressive, too keen to actually, if you like, bash the door down.
Right.
Now, I think it's unawareness on both sides. It's the pressure of the Me Too movement, which was quite right in terms of putting things on the table. But now we've got to get on together.
Right.
And of course, the characters on both sides are people. They're human beings.
Right.
And my belief is that most human beings want to have a life that is meaningful, that drives to their passion, that makes them accelerate on what they do best, because that's a sense of achievement.
Absolutely.
So we've got to work out what the resistance is, and I think a lot of it is, as you say, it's almost like this push-pull. Women have come forward, men have stepped back, and there's fear.
Yeah, and would you say there's fear? But would you say that there's some things on both sides? Because that's typically what I find. It's often on both sides of the discussion. It's kind of like, okay, there has to be some type of collaboration. There has to be some give and some get, and a lot of times on both sides of the deal, hey, these are rock solid, I can't move on these. And I think you and I, we actually spoke about this in the past. Even on the side of the women and
yes, definitely.
Yes.
It's both parties.
Yeah.
My current theory is that we keep on saying it's just one territory. So, we say, right, women, we've got to go in and change men, or we're knocking on the door, or men say, no, we know what we're doing, so let's keep going. Actually, it's not one territory. It's actually two is actually two conjoined territories that now expand the business stroke societal playing field. And that's the conversation I think we're not having. It's like we've now got a world of technology and digitalization, of fluidity. We could all work in very similar ways. We can work at home, we could do all sorts of things. There's no reason why we couldn't stretch that territory and understand the magic of a female territory, which is more, if you like, more circular, and the male territory, which is more square and very task focused. The mindset is about valuing both.
Right.
So valuing task and relationship in a world which desires collaboration.
Okay. So let's step forward. So let's look at the work that you're doing, at Corporate Heart International. So we realize that there are some challenges here, and you've spoken about the benefits, you've spoken about the obstacles. Let's talk about the work that you're doing. I mean, what are you doing now at Corporate Heart International to kind of engage these conversations? Because there are people who are watching this and they're saying, okay, I can identify with that. I mean, I live that. I walk in that every day.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have some answers, some solutions. What are you guys doing over there?
Well, the main thing is that you have to be engaged in order to have a conversation. So basically, we present an experience. So it's not so much a program, but an experience, because it's not a lecture. Right. I mean, I give keynote speeches to give some ideas, but when you're actually in action with a group of people, it's down to the people in the room to come together. Now, the environment is very important. So we sit people in circles. We make sure the environment is pleasing. It's no telephones, it's about being in this space and sharing in a conversation, which we guide. And so the conversation would be, say, about collaboration. What does it mean for us? But the conversation is at the table, and the tables can be mixed or single gender, depending on the nature of the messages. And we move people around. But it's not the old-fashioned way of doing things, which was like teacher-led. Like, you listen, I'll tell you, you obey.
Yeah.
No. It's here's an idea, have a conversation, and we time it. So it's not just going on for a conversation forever. So I'll give you an example with a mixed group in England, which was in the finance sector. We had an hour and a quarter. We had 3 conversations, 8 minutes each. In between, there was no plenary, no controlling the outcome, but really just keeping the energy in the room.
Right.
So as people get used to having those kind of conversations, they say more.
Right.
And because there's no hierarchy, there's no control, they can say what they like, and the conversation is captured on an exercise sheet.
Okay.
So that you can you learn while having a conversation, because it's guided to a topic which is in the middle of the conversation, in the middle of the table. And I'll give you a quick example where it does work with men. I was working with a head of finance where the men were going, well, tell me what to do. And I said, no, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to ask you to have a conversation. And because they realised that unless they spoke into their group, they wouldn't get their voice heard. They went, oh, okay. So there's a mental mind shift around the way we have been taught to obey, as opposed to a creative space, but confined into time slots. So that especially with men who don't necessarily want to chatter long term,
right,
and women do, that it actually kind of keeps the pace up. So it's a free conversation, but the pace is up. And it's an amazing way of gathering data as well. So men like this as well, because whatever's said is written down unattributed, a bit like recording this. And then people can go back and review that and look at what has come out of it, and then make decisions about what we do next.
Right.
So it's a way of opening the mindset to having conversations like this every day.
Yeah.
So my goal is that as people understand that, they go, oh, well, I could have this at the coffee machine when I meet Fred or Mary.
Yeah.
And so the questions are no judgment, no anger. So we don't say, I believe this, I'm right, you're wrong. end of conversation, no conversation.
Yeah.
It's, oh, you know, in my experience of what we're doing, it's X, Y, Z, and it opens up people.
Yeah, it's a great communication tool, and really, I mean, think about how many issues in our society as a whole could be answered if we could all have magical conversations with, you know, no judgment, no anger, and no coercion. So I guess what I want to do now is, so there's some people who are listening and they're saying, okay, I want to have these magical conversations, you know, in my place of business or in my community. I mean, in your eyes, I mean, who is your target audience, and if they wanted to start having these magical conversations, you know, how do they do that? So let's start first with the target audience, and then two, you know, how do they start having these magical conversations?
So the target audience is really people who work together. So in my experience, it's been a department or a group. It could be a boardroom, but essentially it's making that working together much more seamless, much more energized. So I work with departments of 19, 20, or down to groups of 8. I've worked right up to 80 when you're doing a whole workforce. But the goal is, what are we in this business to do, and how are we working together? So if you're like, corporate heart is the heart of the business, and heart of the business is the people. So how do they all tick together? On occasions, I've worked with organizations where it's been several departments and they're actually mixed together, so that it's not identified to the department issue, it's identified to the company. So you might be talking about collaboration with customers. How do we do that as a company? So there are different messages, but essentially it's about people working together within the context of their culture, or their department, or their team. Because their end result is, how do we do this better? How do we do it better for me and for everybody that I meet?
So we have that target audience. How do we find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, for sure. Crawford, Dr Pauline Crawford, and also I have a website which is called MissMagicalConversations.com, and I have Corporate Heart International, which is not a full-blown website yet because I'm only recently arrived in the US, and I'm transferring my UK business into the US. But you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter.
Yes, and for those of you listening, I'll be sure if you look in the body for this video, depending on what your medium is, if you're listening to the podcast, if you're on YouTube or whatnot, you just look in the body and I'll have the links there so you can connect with Dr. Crawford. So Dr. Crawford, we always ask our guests if you could name one book that has been most impactful on your life that you'd like to recommend, and what would that book be if you could recommend one book?
I'm a great fan of the Dalai Lama.
Oh, okay.
This man he's very compassionate. He's very worldly, even though he's spiritual. And one of his first books is called The Art of Happiness. And I love that book. So I would recommend that because it's got a lot of, it's written about, he didn't write it, somebody was writing it about him and his stories. And one of the stories I love in that he said, as the Dalai Lama left the podium and entered the body of the audience, you couldn't actually see him, but you could see the audience swaying towards him. So he has this magical attraction in the way that he converses. He's very serious, but he has a sense of humor.
Yes.
Sometimes gets him into trouble.
Right.
But he's a very down to earth person, and I do believe in how. Because I think that's what life is about, happiness.
Absolutely.
And that's not to do with money, that's not to do with our environment is to do with our heart and our head coming together.
That's a great one. So that's the art of happiness.
I think it's by the Dalai Lama. It was with an editor, but that you would find it with his books.
Okay.
But one of the things I'd like to say is, because you say hero talks, my dream, my vision is that everybody can be their own magical conversation hero, because as you become expert at it, you make people's lives magical.
Yes.
And therefore, that's where we spread the ripple of magic and world harmony by starting with me.
Yes.
And my worlds. So don't be daunted by world harmony, because obviously there's nearly 9 billion people.
Yeah.
But world harmony starts where you are.
Yeah. It all starts, and I mean, very, very well said. It all starts with, you taking that step to impact what's around you. So
Yes.
very, 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 very well said. And again, our objective here, for those of you who are just tuning in, our objective here is that we want to inspire all of us, every listener, regardless of your past, regardless of the things that you've done. Your past cannot hold your present or your future hostage. The experience that you've had in your life, the challenges that you've had in your life, in a lot of ways, they prepare you to be uniquely suited for a cause. So we're running up on our time here. We typically like to keep these conversations somewhere around. We try to keep them less than 30 minutes, and we're there. So with that, Dr. Crawford, first and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time to be our guest hero, and for kind of inspiring us all to have magical conversations. I think
Yes, absolutely. And one of the keys to it is make sure that you keep smiling.
absolutely through it all.
Yes,
Absolutely. So
have a lovely smile.
exactly. So as we close, again, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. Look, connect with us. If you want to find out more about Hero Talks, if you want to find out more about, everyday real heroes like our guest hero today, Dr. Crawford, please connect with us. We are on all of the major platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Our website is www.thebrandmcclendon.com. So we invite you to connect with us. And also, if you are aware of a hero in your community, someone who is doing things that are bigger and better than themselves, they're outwardly focused, and you think that person deserves a little light, please reach out to us. Email me, DM me. You can email me through the website. Just reach out to us, connect with us, because we want to shine more lights on those individuals. So with that, as I always say when I rap, it is your path to find, it is your purpose to define, and it's your story to share. Your best is yet to come. Thank you, Dr. Crawford.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
All right, bye-bye. Talk to you soon.